Welcome, folks, to the Creature Feature Picture Show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you all with us here tonight. Without further ado, let's introduce our ghastly hosts.
In April 1965, the first incident involving the Veggieman occurred when the eyewitness, Iva Frederick, told her son, named Daniel, that she saw a saucer-shaped aircraft in their backyard. It was described as 10 feet in diameter and 5 feet across, and tied to the saucer, there was either a black or dark green creature that she described looking more animal or even demonic than human, and it had pointed ears and a tail. Now, Eva hid under her bed covers for a while, and then she looked out the window as she gained the bravery to look out of the window, and the creature just got in the saucer and the saucer flew away. Son Frederick, which I don't know if that was her husband named Son or if it was her son Daniel Frederick, because it was capitalized when I was reading. Jury's out, but someone related to her family took hair samples and plastic casts from the tracks that the creature had left and sent them to the US Air Force. And they were told that the craft was a weather balloon and that there was no extraterrestrial things happening. However, the physical evidence wasn't actually returned to the family, which is a little suspicious.
Is physical evidence usually returned when people do
I don't
stuff
know.
like that?
People never give me physical evidence, so I wouldn't know the answer. I feel like it'd be impolite to not return. It's kind of like, that's what it's like. Okay, listen, it's like when you get a limb amputated and you're not allowed to take the limb back. To
it's
me,
your limb.
You grew it. Listen, you spent time and energy making that limb. It should be yours. And I feel like it's the same case if you send in evidence that you take the time to collect. They should at the very least give it back. It's common courtesy. The next sighting of the Veggieman occurred in July 1968 with the eyewitness Jennings Frederick. Jennings was out hunting groundhogs on the outskirts of Granttown, and unfortunately he was, well, I guess fortunately depending on the perspective. If you're a groundhog, it's pretty good he couldn't find you, but unfortunately for Jennings, it was an unsuccessful hunt, and so he decided to head home when he heard a high-pitched muttering and jabbering sound, which sounded almost like a recording running at a really, really quick speed, or for the youth maybe who don't understand this, just a YouTube video at 3 times speed. And the gibberish then turned into English, and it was reported that he heard a voice saying, "You need not fear me. I wish to communicate. I come as friends. We know of you all. I come in peace. I wish medical assistance. I need your help." A little scary. But polite.
Okay.
Yeah. And he heard this, he wasn't sure if he heard this in his head or out loud. It was unclear. So Frederick was then grabbed by the wrist by a very willowy humanoid creature that was described as imposing. The creature tightened its grip and extracted blood from his wrist, and then once the blood was extracted, the creature's eyes turned from yellow to red, and it sprinted away, making jumps that covered at least 25 feet per leap. And then, if that wasn't enough, humming noises came from the woods where it had run to, and Jennings thinks that maybe it was going back to its saucer, its home base. That's it. That's the only sighting of the Veggieman ever. And then, in March 1976, Gary Barker titled an article that was published as "The Vegetable Man, a Semi-Abductee," which appeared in the Gray Barker newsletter, which recounted the stories of Jennings Frederick. Barker is the one who coined the term Men in Black, and had a ton of experience covering UFOs, paranormal experiences, and other supernatural occurrences. But he was also a very well-known hoaxer and prankster in his city, to the point that he encouraged others to fabricate stories that he could then publish in his newsletter. And of course the town has dubbed the Vegetable Man a hoax, because there was only one eyewitness, and the report was again made by a known shenanigan maker. So no one believes in the Veggieman.
Okay. Listen.
Listening.
This story happened 8 years before the story was published.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too.
Are we saying that he lied about the date and just randomly picked 1968? I don't know.
This could be a person crying wolf too much and then the wolf actually appears, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows?
I mean,
And
how
maybe
does
the
Jennings
Veggieman
feel about
Exactly.
all
I
this?
would be a little offended if I gave my heartfelt, traumatic assault story to a
Okay, well,
well-known
let's
person.
not go that far. He did ask for medical assistance.
That is true.
Like he
He did
asked.
ask. He asked.
He asked very
consent. That's a
politely.
good point. He did. But
He said,
even if you
"Please."
ask, I don't think he even gave Jennings time to say no before he just grabbed him,
That's
which is
fair,
a
but
little
you know,
questionable.
That's true.
Overall, the Vegetable Man is an alien-like creature that also resides in West Virginia. I didn't mention that before. This guy shares turf with Mothman.
Wait, so is
This
this guy, is this reporter, was he also involved with Mothman?
I actually don't know. I should have looked it up beforehand. But I mean, he did coin Men in Black.
So I want to say yes.
Honestly, probably. These
pretty
two
crazy.
are in cahoots, Mothman and the Vegetable Man. I mean, they share half of I wonder if they're related. The Man family tree.
Mothman, Vegetable Man. I mean, they have the same
Mr.
last
Man.
name, so.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a possibility. Anyways, and overall, the Vegetable Man was described as 7 feet tall, with arms no thicker than a quarter, and hands with 3 7-inch long fingers that had needle tips and suction cups.
How else is he supposed to get blood?
That's true. It's very effective for what he's made to do. And he also lived in more forested areas, just kind of I feel like your typical West Virginia forest. That's the Veggieman.
Wow, he is really something. And I have to
He
pick
is really
like an animal that exists.
I fear that we do.
I'm really loving this alien theory.
Yeah, but I see mine is kind of based on the alien theory.
You know what?
What?
I'm gonna say squid.
I think the Veggieman is a night anole, which is a type of
One of those worms?
anole. No, it's not a worm. It's like a lizard. You ready?
I'm ready.
Rock, paper, scissors, rock.
Paper. Yes!
Oh my god!
Yes! First ever
Wow.
win. This is a historical
First
moment.
ever.
So I had picked for my phylogeny squid. And while I was doing my research, I kind of narrowed it down a bit to the genus Magna Pinna. They are thought to be the deepest living squid. They live even deeper than the colossal squids do. Adult colossal squids are typically found as deep as like 10,000 feet, but that's like as deep as it really gets for them. The Magna Pinna squid, the deepest that they've been seen is 15,000 feet.
Okay. What are they doing down there? What nefarious deeds are they up to?
Literally just hanging out. So what's really weird about the morphology of these squids is that all of their tentacles are the same length. Have you ever seen a squid? 2 of their tentacles are longer than the rest of them. And that's because those are the tentacles that they use to hunt. So for colossal squids, for example, they have these 2 longer tentacles that they can actually stretch out even farther than when they're just like swimming if they're trying to grab at something. It's so weird that these guys have all of their tentacles are the exact same length and they're the same width. They all look the same. It suggests that they might be using their tentacles to rake through the seafloor for food, or using their tentacles as kind of like a cage for small fish that they want to eat. The most famous Magna Pinna squid was seen on video in the Gulf of Mexico by a camera that was recording during like a drilling or at a drilling site, and it was just like randomly hanging out. It was at a depth of 7,000 feet. This is the most famous Magna Pinna squid because of how creepy it looked. This was in, the year 2000, so the quality was terrible. The night vision was like green. It was just all around, the vibe was like terrifying. And it has more so to do with the technology than the actual squid. But they have these very weird, almost elbow-looking ways that they hold their tentacles when they're at rest. So it's thought that this kind of version of the Magnapinna squid is the adult phase, and we have never actually seen one of these in real life. They have only ever been seen on camera. And we do have a few collected specimens, but they're all juveniles. So Wikipedia has a list of how many times this genus of squid has been seen. There are 55 entries. We're not even in triple digits. And this is between 1883 and 2025. Moving away from just talking about Magnapinna squids and focusing on the Veggieman, my argument is that the Veggieman looks just like the squid, to a T. The Veggieman, he's long and spindly, okay, just like a squid. The Veggieman has a very beak-like nose, and guess what squids have? They have beaks. The Veggieman has very large pointy ears. Okay, and squids have those large pointy fins on the side of their heads. And the Veggieman had suction cups on its fingers, just like squids do. My theory is that aliens came down to Earth. These
Solid
long,
start.
spindly aliens came down to Earth, and they realized that the deep ocean was the only place that they were safe from humans. So they started living down there. But since they've been on the Earth for generations, at least since 1883, but probably much longer than that, some of them might have forgotten how terrible and dangerous and scary we are. So I'm thinking that one day, one really brave Magnapinna alien squid decided that, hey, I'm gonna swim up to the surface and just take a look around. He swam up from the Gulf of Mexico. He wrapped up his tentacles to form his 4 limbs, and he went on a little terrestrial adventure up north. Once he got to West Virginia, he was very tired. That's a very long, treacherous journey for a marine adapted thing. So he was weak and he was tired. He came across this very nice looking man and he tried to ask for help. Now, squids can't really vocalize, so this proved to be difficult to communicate with this guy. So the squid, he just took what he needed from the man and he left. And after this journey, he decided that, you know what, I don't need to do this. I'm gonna go back home and I'm just gonna stay in the ocean. And that's why the Veggieman was only seen once.
I pulled a Maggie during Mothman and decided to change my animal 4 times. And I finally settled on one of my absolute favorite creatures, and they are called leaf sheep. What is a leaf sheep? Well, it's neither a leaf nor a sheep. It's actually a species of sea slug that was discovered off the coast of Kiroshima, which is an island near Japan. And it's incredibly small, approximately the size of a grain of rice. And it's completely covered in serrata that look like leaves, which, gave it its name, leaf sheep. But serrata are actually digestive organs that help to store energy. They also aid in camouflage as well as respiration for these little critters. There is one singular reason why I picked these guys, because they don't fit Veggieman at all. Leaf sheep can photosynthesize. They are one of the only animals that can do this. So they feed on algae in the Evrainvilia family, I believe. And as they eat the algae, they're able to incorporate the chloroplasts that they get from the plant material into their body. And chloroplasts are the part of plant cells that allow for photosynthesis to occur. This is done through a process called kleptoplasty. Klepto means thief, and plasty is the act of forming something. These chloroplasts that they take into their bodies can then actually be used by the leaf sheep to perform photosynthesis on a short-term basis. And these guys are probably one of the closest animal-plant hybrids that we can find on planet Earth. Veggieman, his name is literally Veggieman, and I think they said he was made out of vegetable material. So you gotta at least look kinda like a vegetable to be Veggieman. And leaf sheep not only look like vegetables, they act like vegetables too. Here's my theory. I think leaf sheep took it one step further. Plants communicate with each other through both chemical compounds, such as pheromone release, as well as electrical signals. And the electrical signals that plants use are they're typically used for movement, such as leaf folding and sap production. And the electrical signals that plants use are actually incredibly similar to action potentials in animals. Action potentials, for those of you that might not know, are incredibly fast electrical signals that are sent between neurons, which cause involuntary reflexes to occur. So when the doctor hits your kneecap and your leg flies out. That's because of an action potential. Now I'm thinking, leaf sheep, they got so in sync with their food source, the algae that they eat, that they were eventually able to start communicating with it, because leaf sheep also, of course, have action potentials that they use to move their own body. So they merged so much with these plants that they started to be able to control them. And over generations, leaf sheeps were able to move more and more of the plants. They built themselves a body, a host. And fun fact, studies have actually been done that sea slugs are capable of both learning and memory, so just saying. Eventually, over many, many, many generations, which are quick because, you know, they're tiny, they were able to control kelp so well that they could leave the ocean. Hundreds of leaf sheep controlling one body, and they began exploring the world. And as they ventured out, now eventually they made it so far that they ran into that one guy, and they had the whole terrible situation, right? Where he was freaking out and they were freaking out and they were trying to run away and they stole his blood. I don't know why they did that. Maybe they were feeling a little vindictive, who knows. But anyways, as they ran away, they started to fall apart. And of course, the man was so scared, he was already gone. But their kelpy bodies started to disintegrate and all of the leaf sheep controlling this thing ended up desiccating and dying, which is why the Veggieman was only seen one time. That's my theory.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I do have a question actually. Are
Yeah.
you suggesting that, because these are underwater creatures, are you suggesting that like the inside the kelp is like all water and they're like all living in there? Like,
they can stick their little leaves out to continue to photosynthesize, and they travel with their food source.
okay, that wasn't necessarily my concern. My concern is how are they holding water in a body of kelp?
No, it's like mainly kelp, and then it's like absorbed water, you know? So like it's wet enough for them to live, but it's not like a water balloon. My main question is, your squids are pink and Veggieman is green/black. How are you gonna explain that?
I don't know, maybe the exposure to light, because these squids live so far down that there's not really any light, so the exposure to light might have
Turned it green?
turned it black.
I don't know if that's how... Do any animals turn black when exposed to sun?
I actually don't know.
You're just making shit up, Maggie.
Well, I wasn't expecting color to be, I actually didn't know what color the Veggieman was, so this is not something I thought about whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
Squid, octopus, cuttlefish instantly alter their color using special cells called chromatophores that expand or contract in response to light and neural signals.
Oh, cool. Okay, so it's possible for
don't-
sure. I don't know if these guys
animals
have
have
those, though.
specialized chromatophores containing pigments yellow, red, brown, black, controlled by muscle fibers.
Okay, my second question. How would a squid keep its shape under the forces of gravity? Because squids are not made to fight gravity. They don't have bones.
Okay, so maybe he crawled most of the way.
Oh.
Maybe he took the human form just for a little bit so he wouldn't scare the guy. And he crawled, and that's why he wasn't seen before West Virginia, is because he was just slithering around.
I mean, yeah, okay, sure, that's fair enough.
So, my question, I know that plants can communicate, and I know that mushrooms can control things, but has a plant ever done that?
Done what?
Like, been able to control another plant?
I'm not talking about plant-to-plant communication. I'm talking about, like, the plant sending itself signal, like the root sending signals to curl the leaf. So instead of the root, the leaf sheep is the root sending the signals to this plant. It's hijacked the system.
Okay, I don't know about that.
They respond to electrical signals, like it's like an involuntary reflex for plants to do those things. So if the signal is coming from a different source, it will still react the same way.
If you were saying these little slugs are eating parts of algae or kelp or whatever, and disconnecting it from the main part of the kelp or the algae or whatever, it's not like the plant has its roots and its roots are connected to its leaves and it's saying, okay, curl, we don't have enough water or whatever, curl the leaf. Or we have too much sunlight or whatever. The connection is very different there. That's the point that I think I'm trying to make.
Sure, but I don't think plants are smart enough to really know the difference of where the signal's coming as long as they get the signal. right?
So you're saying that the algae inside the digested algae inside of the slug is able to communicate
No,
with the
Maggie,
undigested algae
absolutely
outside of...
not. It's the leaf sheep that I don't know what's not clicking. The leaf sheep is sending the electrical signals to the plant.
Oh yes, the leaf sheep
Yes.
that has never in any way been connected to the plant except for
Yes.
after it ate it.
Yes.
Is sending electrical signals.
It became
to...
one with the plant. It understood it. It
Yes,
digested it and became it.
yes. That
It has
makes
its
sense.
chloroplasts, so it'll recognize the plant will
Of
recognize its
course.
chloroplasts.
Of course.
Mhm.
That is sound logic.
Thank you, I try.
Despite the fact that my theory involves aliens,
Mm-hmm.
multi-generational ocean-dwelling aliens, you might have
Mm-hmm.
out-ridiculoused me.
What can I say? It's the one thing I'm good at. Honestly, to be honest, Maggie, I like both of our theories equally.
Yeah, I really don't know how to say who wins this.
Because they're both so stupid.
So insane.
April Fools, you guys thought there was gonna be a winner? There's no winner.
Just kidding.
Well, okay.
Wow, what a
Good game,
what an
Maggie.
episode.
See you next year.
Oh my god.
This is so stupid. So stupid.
So long, you well-meaning miscreants, and a good evening to you. This concludes tonight's showing of the Creature Feature Picture Show. Be sure to tune in to our next broadcast for more supernatural speculation. Until then, lock your doors, pray nothing goes bump in the night, and most importantly, stay spooky.